V-Rising has just launched into early access, and with it we get a beautiful Valheim, Diablo, Grim Dawn hybrid game, which scratches the itch of both a builder and an ARPG all in one go. In this video today, I want to go over a quick start guide to help you out in your first crucial hours of the game. We'll start the video out by talking about some things to do before your game even starts, and when you're in the tutorial. Then at the end of the video, I'll give you some tips to make your life easier as you gather resources, grind creatures, and build your all-encompassing vampire castle. The focus here is to give you a relatively spoiler-free breakdown of a lot of the early game mechanics that took me a handful of hours to break the mystique behind. I won't be going through the game step by step, but instead focusing on the points that I got stuck on the most. If you end up enjoying the video, don't forget to comment, like, and or subscribe. You know that whole jam. Also, you can follow me on Twitch, which I'll be streaming on a lot more in the coming months, linked in the description. But let's take a bite, Jesus Christ, that was a bad pun, out of this quick start guide for V-Rising. Before we jump into the actual game, I just want to really quickly go over how to, well, play the game. You do have the option to do online play, where you will join a public, already hosted server, PvE, PvP, or different kind of configuration thereof. You can host a dedicated server, either renting or hosting one yourself, or playing a private game, which I think majority of people are going to play. This is the typical kind of Valheim standard of like, hey, I'm hosting a little private game, you guys can join in with me, whatever it is, and you choose your rule set, right? PvE, so player versus environment, or player versus enemy, then PvP, player versus player. And then you would select that rule set and any kind of special rules you want applied to that overarching game mode. Now, I'm not going to focus on the game modes and anything like that because, of course, this is going to be individualistic down to what you want for your game. Do you just want to play with some friends and build the bases and have some fun and kill the environment? Well, that's what you're going to be doing with PvE. Do you want to kill your friends, though? PvP is going to be the way to go. The big thing, though, I want to point out is this advanced game settings. Now, a lot of this can be very, very overwhelming, and to be totally honest, majority of this will make sense the more you play the game. But there's one thing I just wanted to focus on, and it's all the way right here. Teleport bound items. When this box is checked, you cannot use any of the teleporters in the game if you're holding, it says certain resources, but it seemed to feel like any resource would prevent me from teleporting. So if anything, just simply unclick that. That's all you need to do to enjoy the game on pretty much its default settings, but be able to actually teleport and navigate around the map very easily. So if you're playing this on your own, that's the way to go. You'd press save, you'd go back. And if you really are playing on your own, just click only solo play. That's really the way to do it from there. But this is just something I wanted to talk about first because I wish I had known it before I created my map when I first jumped into the game. And another quick note before we jump into the meat and potatoes here is when you're going through that initial graveyard, look for stuff like this. These little kind of catacombs here, if you pop them open, they'll give you some initial resources. It's not enough to make or break your game, but it's a nice little boost to some stone or some wood so that when you go to make some of the initial buildings and whatnot, you just have a little bit of starter resources. Again, it's something that's going to make or break your playthrough, but it is a nice way to get a bit of a cushion in that initial hour, 2 hours of playing. All right, we have made it through the graveyard, so let's talk about some things that are going to help you out in this initial portion of the game. Now, you have two different exit points for the graveyard. Whatever one you want to go with is up to you, and if you've turned off that teleport capability, it'll be easy to move back and forth, whichever ones you want to decide to eventually land upon. Again, it doesn't really matter. So let's go through some stuff that the game doesn't really necessarily lay out for you. Now, you've probably got this initial quest to craft some armor, right? So we'll bring up the tab, go into crafting, and we see all the armor in which we can craft. Well, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, well, we've already made the chest guard. Let's make these leggings. Well, you don't need to stay in this menu. In fact, you can make multiple things and queue them up, and you don't have to stay in. We can just kind of keep walking around. It'll auto-equip when it is complete, which is a great little thing to do there. And you can just kind of queue up as many as you want if you so wish. But that little ability to queue things up and walk away from menus is something that I didn't learn for a fair bit into the game. And it's a pretty crucial thing because it just allows you to save some time. You can be a little bit more on the go, like, okay, I've crafted those leggings, they're now on me and I don't have to worry about it anymore. You can do the same thing in any menu, in any crafting screen throughout the game. Craft multiple objects, queue them up, and they'll be sitting there in the little stockpile at the bottom of the menu when they're all complete, and you can just kind of go about your business. So let's jump into a little bit about blood now. So blood's going to be a crucial part of your playthrough. And if you hover over this, you can get your blood pool. It shows your current blood type, which is frailed. You'll be frailed anytime you eat a little rat here, or if you die and come back to life, or in this case, you're just starting the game. Essentially, your blood pool will drain slowly over time. And as your blood pool drains, it will also drain your ability to regenerate, and you'll eventually just get hurt if you get all the way to that bottom, right? It's going to start killing you. But if we take a look at this creature right here, we can see that it says wolf creature 2%. So that means its blood purity is 2%. Now this is not an additive quality. And what I mean by that is, let's kill this guy right here. And wait until we get the feed thing. And there we go. We press F and we're now feeding on it. As soon as that bar goes all the way, we will then change our blood type to creature. So if I hover over this, you can see there are 5 tiers to creature, and those tiers are based off of your blood quality. So again, this is 2% blood purity for creature, and you can see that it only is going to give me a 3 to 5% movement speed buff. If I press tab, it's reflected somewhere in here. I don't really know if it's 3 or 5 or what percentage that is, but that's nonetheless. Now, if I look over at this one, it says 40%. So this, if we attack this and we get to the point of draining it, and you miss every single swing like I did. Now, I can press left click, and if I do, it'll auto kill this creature. But I won't get this. Now you see we had 2% before in our blood type now. Now we've got 40%, and our blood pool is up to 10 liters, our max blood pool. Well, in the beginning of the game at least. And this shows us that now we're at tier 2. We get the movement speed bonus, represented right here. I think it was at 4.1 before, now it's at 4.3. And we get 10 to 25 increased stun resistance rating, which is great. So keeping your blood pool up is very important, but also noting that those different kind of blood types are huge, and also that you're going to find a whole bunch of different blood types throughout the game. So finding one that kind of works with the playstyle you have in mind is going to be pretty crucial to your playthrough of V Rising. And it also really kind of helps you out in getting a lot of great buffs, especially if you hit like a blood moon, which gives you 20% bonuses and stuff like that. So there's a lot of really great stuff with blood that it took me a long time to realize, oh, this is how it worked. It's not additive. Like I said, it's based off of the actual blood I'm consuming and what that quality was on that creature. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of how blood works in the game. Next up, let's talk about the castle heart. And this is a crucial part of the game, but in the very beginning, don't get too much analysis paralysis on placing this down. I'm going to give you some quick tips though. Don't place in the very initial portion, right? Like around here, this is where you first start out, or maybe over here. It seems like, oh, cool, I'll just place my base here, no big deal. I'm far and away from everyone. If you're playing PvE, or especially on your own, you're actually going to find yourself far away from any resources. So you're going to have to slog all the way over, get those resources, come all the way back to your base, and start trying to generate. Especially if you've shut off or you did not shut off the ability to teleport with resources on you, using the way gates is going to be kind of useless. So placing your base at a somewhat centralized location on the map, even if things around you look scary, is just fine. In fact, this location right here is probably one of my favorite ones for an early base. You are around a lot of fun stuff northwest and east of you. I won't ruin what those things are. You'll explore them for yourselves. But this is a really, really good place to start. Even right here, this is just north of the starting location, and you don't need to start on one of these little plateaus. But these like plateaus are kind of like locations of former castles and stuff like that. It's just kind of a cool little thematic area. In addition to that too, you could place them anywhere, right? But these little locations, these little ridges kind of show you like, hey, it's up on a plateau. And if I press B and go to Castle Heart, I then get 2 kind of indications of how large of a base I can have in this. And this says approximate percentage buildable space. So what this means is from this location where the Castle Heart is, how much max borders can I make when this thing is fully leveled up that won't conflict with, say, like the edge of a map right here, or the edge of this little terrace, this little plateau, whatever it is. And then you've got another indication that says area size. So you might see 60% large area, or over here, 60% fair area. That's kind of giving you an indication of what bracket of 60% it is. Is it a low 60% or a high 60%? Basically, you have a number of area types. I think over here we can find cramped. Then we get limited is somewhere around here. Limited, and then fair, and then large, and then another one I think is considerable, and there's another one above that. I mean, it's like humongous or something like that. But I would try to look for something that's around 70% or 60% that just says large. So this is a pretty good location. We'll go ahead and make our... Will we? Will we make it right there? We'll just go right here. This seems fun. A little bear right next to me too. So we'll go right there, and that will be the first location for our castle heart. And again, don't get too much analysis paralysis. You are going to make multiple bases. You can make multiple bases, and this is going to be just a place to get started, get your initial production going so that you can get better equipment, better resources, and build your next even better base. Now that you've made your base, you're probably going to need to harvest some resources to get further in the game. And one little tip here for making that easier on you is making a new bind for attacking. So left click is obviously how you do your attacking, right? Well, if we go here into options and we go into controls and we scroll down, I've changed the primary to also do caps lock. It just saves my left hand from having to sit here and go in front of a big tree and just hold down caps lock. I can switch it to multiple fingers if I so wish, but it just makes harvesting a lot easier. And if I free up my right hand, I'm right-handed, so I could text someone if I wanted, look at Instagram, do whatever I wanted, maybe touch myself, who knows? And then you can use this to do more and more harvesting at just an easier fashion than constantly holding left click. It hurts your finger after a while because I've played for like hours on end, and I'm like, man, sitting here just grinding away on this thing. This can just make it a lot easier on you so that you can do your harvesting and not worry about, well, hurting yourself. Hurting yourself? I guess that's what I'm going to stick with, but either way, it makes it easier. And while you're out exploring, you're probably going to run into some enemies that you want to kill, and when you kill them, you're going to use a weapon. In the beginning of the game, you have 4 weapons to take advantage of: the sword, the axe, the mace, and the spear. Now, each one of these is fun and different, and it has a different combo and a different attack style and all that fun action. But if we go ahead and press tab, we can see our physical power. This is how much damage we pretty much do with our physical attacks. And if we hover over every single one of these, they add the same amount of physical power. And obviously the first 3 are mainly for, okay, this is going to give me a bonus to vegetation harvesting and wood harvesting and minerals harvesting. And the spear is really good at killing creatures. But like I said, each one of these has a different combo. So the spear is really good at taking things out at distance or one specific model or one specific unit you want to kill. When you jump over to the mace, you get a big, slow, sweeping attack. Very big arc right there. Then we switch over to the axe. We get 2 slightly faster, but moderate damage weapons. And then the sword is, again, same thing, but it's a much faster weapon. Now, if I look at each one of these and hover over, it tells me the percentage of the damage that it does. And what this means is perform a combo of melee attacks dealing 35, 35, and 40% physical damage, meaning it will do 40% or 35% of this right here, your physical power. So that one swing, that second swing, that does 35 and 35. The third one is what does the 40. So this can kind of help you in determining which one you really want to use maybe most. Like, okay, this gives me 45, 45, 55. This does 50, 50, 60, and this does 40, 40, 50. So this is giving you an idea of how much damage it's doing per swing of the total amount of damage you can do. Now, as far as they roughly kind of all do the same amount. But if you're splitting hairs and want to min-max, the sword does the most damage per second because it is the fastest of the 4 starting weapons. And then the spear kind of follows it up right here at being just slightly less damage per second, but you also have the advantage of attacking at a much further distance. You lose the arc, the big swing, but you can penetrate models that are or units that are in a straight line, whatever it is. So I would stick between these 2, but if you want to dual wield axes, then do it. There's nothing that's stopping you. There are 2 other abilities right here that you will unlock as you jump into copper and then higher weapon qualities, and I don't want to spoil those for you. They're pretty fun to discover. But the sword has a really good one, and so does the axe. So I will say that to, again, not be spoilery, but kind of hype you up a little bit for those future weapon developments. Another one of my quick ones before I jump into my closing portion of this video is when you have multiple items on the ground, you can just hold F and it'll pick them all up. You don't have to press F repeatedly. Something that I learned way late in the game, and my finger was hurting because I was just slamming F all day, but that'll help you in picking up a lot of things at once. Just some things to go over here now in closing. I would really make sure that when you build a research desk, you'll get to that pretty quickly in your game. You go here and it tells you just to use paper and will unlock a random technology. And this is a pretty early server of mine, so that this shouldn't be too much of a spoiler. But I would definitely try to look for any location that says, hey, you know, this is going to give me paper. Then you can go and kind of farm paper at these locations to try and increase some of those random technologies that it can discover for you. It's always kind of nice to jump ahead on that as fast as possible. And a really big note, and one that I really think you should focus on in that just initial portion of the game, build multiple resource refineries. So right now I've got 2 sawmills here, so I can put multiple planks. Let's just divide this in half. I can put multiple stacks of wood in here and get double the planks in the amount of time. And remember, you can increase your sawmill's output and refinement time by putting in a confined castle room, which you'll get to pretty quickly in the game, or a room that has a matching floor. So this reduces the cost of refining materials, and this is going to increase the crafting and refinement rate. So an example of this would be, we'll go in here in my little tiny room. I've got these 2 in here, and it will highlight now that it's going to increase the refinement rate for my copper ore when I put it in here. So having double, if not triple, depending on what you're trying to focus on for resource generation is massive. Like when you finally get to the point where you can make these walls, which will automatically put a roof on them, then you're going to want like a double grinder to try and get as many stone bricks as possible, stuff like that. So having these double refinement things will speed up your initial game so you can get to a lot of the good, juicier portions of the game as fast as possible. But that really concludes my video here on V-Rising. If you have any questions, you need help getting into the game, there's something that you're kind of getting stuck on, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know any kind of videos you want me to focus on. This is just a quick start guide to kind of get you going. It's the weekend, maybe you want to pop off depending on what time you're watching this and what day, and this kind of helps you work out those initial kind of growing pains. So if there's another focus you want me to drill down on, I'm more than happy to do it. Just let it be known in the comment section below. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.